You are covering Lauren Chen, so you have to show this gem from a couple years ago. What is this? At Lauren Chen, let's guess what kind of dog it was. One where the overwhelming stats say nothing about the breed, I'm sure. I always love watching Lauren Chen videos because she's got this very Yas Queen girl boss aesthetic to her, but it's not quite as in your face and the Yas Queen girl boss aesthetic of Blair White is like a jet engine blowing in your face. The Yas Queen girl boss aesthetic of Lauren Chen is more like a butane torch in your face. Equally irritating, but one could kill you, the other will just maim you. Um, and with all that said, it's Pride Month. And with it being Pride Month, you'll notice that we've been uploading a lot of content surrounding the topic of the LGBT community, queer people here in America, having their rights trampled upon by the absolute desiccated ghouls of the GOP, especially in those red states in the Rust Belt. So, with that said, with gay rights comes gay wrongs, and you get these conservative figures such as Lauren Chen who are very, very fixated on the idea of shitting on the concept of Pride Month. Now, they will try their best to mask their hatred in many ways. Now, I'm not 100% on where Lauren Chen is with her homophobia. I don't know if she's on the gay people are cool, I don't care, but trans people are abominations. I don't know if she's cool with trans people who are dysphoric and she's like a trans med. I don't remember if she's just like a true scum. I'm not 100% sure where she's at. She might just be 100% on board with all LGBT people are scum. No, she hates gay people too. Okay, just checking. I haven't watched a Lauren Chen video in a long time. Zan, can we please convince the GOP to say yassified instead of grooming? You know what? If we could get that to happen, I'd be totally fine with everything they're doing right now. If they could just say yassified instead of grooming, it'd be funny enough for it to all make up for all of it. That's a joke, by the way. Anyway, let's go ahead and hop into this Lauren Chen video. I had to reset my entire computer and lost my add-ons, so I can't speed up videos anymore. Well, I can actually, but I have to do it this way. 1.25. There we go. All right. Hit me up, Lauren Chen. What you got? Shameful Pride Month pandering, rainbow corporatism. By the way, I want to say, big corporations absolutely do pander very pathetically during Pride Month, but if you are a supporter of the LGBT community, you'll recognize that while their pandering attempts are very cringy and very hollow attempts to make more money, they do still contribute to an overall sentiment in our society of a broader acceptance of these groups, and it helps to establish a baseline of being against these groups is not a monetarily profitable or societally accepted thing that you can be. So it is less of a solution and more of a symptom of the solution. So when conservatives complain about the shameful Pride Month pandering stuff, it's not like when you see a trans person on Twitter like, haha, Citibank pandering Pride Month, haha, or whatever. It is very much her complaining about the concept of LGBT and queer people having the opportunity to come together for 1 month out of the year to sort of celebrate being able to be themselves without anybody else telling them what they can and can't be and what they can and can't do.
Hey, Lauren here. Let's talk about Pride Month. So it is currently June, which is actually, you may not know this, but the most important month of the year, not only because it is my birth month, but also because it is corporate pandering month, more commonly known as Pride Month. And actually, little known fact, in Canada, it's not just Pride Month in June. We actually have Pride season all summer long because the Canadian government, I'm not even kidding, has decided that just 1 month is not nearly long enough to celebrate the LGBTQ community.
By the way, these people will incessantly claim that they do not hate gay people and that gay people's existence does not bother them. And yet here they are complaining about Pride Month and Pride season. It affects them in no way whatsoever. All they have to do is see some rainbows while they're walking down the street, maybe a few ads on Twitter with some rainbows on them. It is the fact that they are disgusted and they hate queer people. That is why they make this content. It makes them money because other people who are homophobes and queerphobes watch it, and it's because they are as well. Zan always has the best freeze frames, I know, right?
why can't Canada just be a normal country? I don't understand. In any case, though, companies pandering to the rainbow crowd in June in order to score virtue signal points is nothing new, but traditionally, i.e. in years past, that usually just involved posting some rainbow stuff to their social media accounts, maybe making a rainbow version of their logo for Twitter, that kind of thing. But it seems like lately, and especially this year, companies are in a competition to see who can out-gay themselves. It's no longer enough to just say, hey, be who you are, love is love, and all of that jazz. No, that's too traditional. That's too conservative. That's not nearly gay enough to actually...
Well, the reason why more of the LGBT appealing advertising has gotten more radical and a little bit more in your face is because right now we're seeing an unprecedented push by the right to infringe on the rights of LGBT people in America, which has also led to LGBT people being particularly, loud about these infringements on their civil rights, which of course would then mean that these companies which are trying to appeal to that crowd would then reflect that in the advertising, no? Isn't it not kind of a direct one-to-one? I feel like for conservatives who always love to laud common sense as the best way to think about something, they tend to lack it, don't they?
Stand out in today's marketing landscape. So what that means is that we currently have, and I kid you not, brands actually using the concept of literal gay sex in order to market their products. And I wish I was kidding, but sadly.
What products, though? Because, to be clear, have you ever seen a Hardee's commercial? Do I have to show that one Hardee's commercial? Yeah, this is the Hardee's commercial. I'm going to mute it, and I'm just going to show the video of what this commercial is, if you've seen this before. Completely unheard of. Only the gays are using sex to sell things to people. Absolutely unheard of. Absolutely unheard of, chat. Never has sex been used to sell random products. Never has heterosexuality been leveraged in such a way. This is a TV commercial, by the way. This is a TV commercial. This is a TV commercial for Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, for a fast food restaurant in America. Yup. Uh-huh. Conservatives don't give a shit about this. They don't give a shit about this. They just hate gay people. That is it.
This is very real. This is where the slippery slope has brought us. The first example of this, and by far the most tame, actually comes to us from Burger King Austria. Yeah, they raised eyebrows when they posted this image to their Instagram account. The caption reads, "Time to be proud," in front of a rainbow background. And at the
I don't need to say anything. I don't need to say anything to defend this ad after the sandwich ad I just showed you. After the aggressively heterosexual sandwich TV ad that I just showed you, I don't need to say anything to defend this one.
Forefront, there are two burgers, but instead of the buns just being regular, one burger has only top buns and one burger has only bottom buns. And of course, the arrangement of these...
Yes! That is hilarious. That is actually very funny. That I want a bottom burger. I'm gonna eat a bottom burger. I want to fucking demolish a bottom.
These burger buns is an allusion to gay male sex, tops and bottoms.
Lauren, the joke is that the top of the bun is like the girl and the bottom of the bun is like the guy, or vice versa. So if you make a burger where it's two bottoms or two tops, then it's representative of a gay burger. I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for there. Not a reference to tops and bottoms in the gay sex scene. If so, that's hilarious and very funny, and I would love that. But I think she's looking way too... I will say, it is very funny to me that the first thing I thought of was the buns represent, different couples, like the boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, whatever, guy, you know what I mean? And the first thing she thought about was gay sex.
Catchers and pitchers. So yeah, pretty out there. marketing campaign bold. Let's call it bold. I mean, here not only is this burger company saying love who you love, none of our business, you do you.
I'm not saying she's straight or anything. What I'm saying is that she and many other conservatives are obsessed with the concept of gay sex. When they see gay people just like affectionately holding hands walking down the street or like walking with their kid or something, they can't help but imagine like them passionately fucking each other. And that's all that goes through their heads, and they assume that's all that's going through children's heads. So they assume that if a kid sees two gay guys walking down the street holding hands, or two gay women walking down the streets holding hands, and their kid's immediately going to think of the last lesbian or gay porn they watch. But little do they know, their kids probably aren't watching lesbian or gay porn like they are.
You boo. They're basically saying, hey, your bedroom activities, we are on board with that. Thankfully, though, this didn't seem to pay off for Burger King because even the people in the LGBT community were not pleased with this. A lot of people were saying this was unnecessary, it's in bad taste, not to mention the fact that.
But my favorite thing ever is when conservatives that hate Pride Month then go and attack the companies that are doing the Pride Month pandering thing. But they're doing it because they hate Pride Month as a concept. And then they try to do even the LGBT community agrees with me. No, they don't. Shut the fuck up, Lauren.
Together. So you don't have two tops or two bottoms like the burgers did in the ad campaign. You have a top and a bottom together, i.e. how burgers usually are. And not only that, but it's kind of funny. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that comic where there's these advertising people meeting together and then there's this image of like
Stone Toss is an admitted white supremacist and neo-Nazi who believes in the Great Replacement and the Jewish question. Lauren Chen would be a fan of him.
Interracial, maybe gay kiss. And then one of the marketing guys, when presented with this image, says, but how will this help us sell burgers? And the guy presenting is like, burgers? It really does seem like
What's that comic referencing, Lauren? What's that comic referencing, Lauren? See, it's an interracial gay couple as well. Are you sure this will help us sell more burgers? Burgers? What are they selling, Lauren? What is the comic implying? For those of you guys that are politically illiterate or just don't really know about like modern day Nazi talking points and dog whistles, the argument is that like corporations are run by Jews and they're using gay and interracial propaganda and a mix thereof to breed white people out of existence and cause the Great Replacement to happen. This is the same conspiracy that inspired the Christchurch shooter who shot up a mosque and killed over 50 people, as well as the recent shooting in New York State in that shopping mall. Yeah, so just know that's the section of politics that we're looking at right now. I used to watch Sargon's podcast when I saw his debate with Vosh, and I was like, holy shit, he's an ethnostater. Yeah, you'd be surprised how easily you can get people to go mask off in a debate. It's real easy for them to keep the mask on in a video, but in a debate, sometimes you can get them frustrated and they'll let it slip.
It's like, burgers? It really does seem like the people who are in charge of marketing nowadays and just in general HR choosing the direction of the company, they seem to have forgotten that they're not actually all in the business of activism. They do have a product to sell at the end of the day, and most people, when confronted with an image of two bottom buns or two top buns on a burger,
that's what she got from it. That advertisers don't understand they're not civil rights activists. That's her. They're using activism to sell a product. Welcome to capitalism. Exactly, Hunga Master. You know something that I've realized? And this is a go-to conservative strategy. You say socialism is really bad, and it really sucks, and it's horrible, and capitalism is really good, and capitalism is perfect as long as it's completely unfettered. And then when capitalism fucks up and fails and people suffer, you call it socialism. Or when negative effects of capitalism happen, you completely ignore what you perceive to be negative effects of capitalism happen. You completely block out the connection there. Your neurons don't fire in that direction, let you connect the dots there. That, oh wait, these companies are pandering to a marginalized demographic that's becoming increasingly more accepted and pushing for civil rights because they realize in the long run this is going to be a much better like investment for them politically, as far as their like advertising and their image in the court of public opinion goes. I feel like that she's being deliberately dense here for her audience and for her video.
burger, specifically alluding to gay sex. Like it doesn't make me want a Whopper. And if you thought that was tacky and in bad taste, then you are not going to be impressed with what Postmates had to say. Before we get to it, though, I do want to say a thank you to today's sponsor, Health with Lauren. So as far too many of us are aware,
chat, I'm doing it, guys. I'm going through my emails, and I'm getting some sponsors. I've been needing to for a while. I've been needing to for a while. It's just so many of them require you to contact them first to negotiate like a deal on it, and I don't want to like get into a long email chain with them just to find out that they want me to do some like really untenable shit that I just wouldn't want to compromise my content with, or they'd be paying me like nothing, or they'd be paying me like a commission and that's it, or I'd have exclusivity or something and I wouldn't be allowed to be sponsored by anyone else. I don't know. We'll see.
Sorry, and frankly pretty gross ad by Postmates.
What are you eating this Pride? Well, if you're a top, it seems like you can eat whatever you want.
This is definitely a reference to tops and bottoms.
But if you're a bottom, you're expected to starve? Not this Pride. Introducing the bottom-friendly menu from Postmates. We teamed up with Dr. Evan.
Wait, this is literally like actually good, effective gay advertising. Like legitimately, if you're like some gay bottom out there and you're like, God, I gotta get thin so I can get my asshole rammed by some top out there, some dude out there, and you're like, but I gotta get thin, then this advertisement's gonna be effective. Hey, this is like, hold on, you ever see, like, this is just companies advertising to a demographic. Very cringy. Listen, you don't get to say that when gay Twitter exists, okay? As long as queer Twitter exists, you guys don't get to call this shit cringy. This is a damn good representation of the cringe embodied by queer Twitter, okay? It's not about thinness. Listen, I'm not a bottom and I'm not gay, so I don't get it. I'm picking up from context clues, okay? Just work with me here.
And Goldstein from Bespoke Surgical to bring you a menu of bottom-friendly foods backed by science. Insoluble fiber won't help you feel cute, so avoid things like whole grains, wheat bran, cauliflower, potatoes, legumes.
Yeah, you are not imagining things. What we have there is an actual ad or almost PSA by Postmates talking about the best food you should eat if you are planning on engaging in homosexual anal sex.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I should say, and I feel bad even showing this content on my channel, but I mean, this is an ad that
I feel bad even showing that ad on my channel. Oh my god. The thing about conservatives is they used to act like they were the new punk rock, but now they act like prude little pussies all the time. Can't have your cake and eat it too, Lauren.
Brand is putting out on social media. And it's like, I do get people who say, Lauren, you shouldn't talk about these things or show these images. Like I have people telling me that all the time, but it's like, if you're upset with me for simply showing it to you guys, then you got to be upset with the people who are actually making it and at first putting it out there, right? And what's really weird about this ad is that it just keeps going.
Remember freedom of speech, guys? Do you guys remember when conservatives were like, do you remember when conservatives said they cared about freedom of speech and that they wanted art to be like free and they didn't want the SJWs to like put their boot down on the creators of art and force them to turn their creations woke? Do you remember when conservatives, they would just harp on about the free speech and how it was immoral to criticize and shit on all that art? Now it's just the same shit. They do not give a fuck about free speech. It's why the free speech paradox is so sad to think about, right? If you allow people like this to use their free speech without any like rein back, like with Alex Jones where he got sued for defamation when it went too far. Like if you don't have the ability to rein these people back, then they would use their power to completely usurp the ability for free speech to ever exist. Do you think if January 6th had been successful, if they'd gone in there and killed those politicians, held hostage the ones they decided not to kill, and basically successfully staged a coup, that free speech would be allowed to exist anymore? Do you think gay people or trans people or anyone left-wing would be allowed to have free speech anymore if they'd had their way and they'd had their little successful coup? The same coup that Lauren Chen has no doubt made excuses for and defended? Of course they wouldn't. They use free speech as a shield to protect themselves against consequences for what they say and do. They know that they can say whatever they want and either fall back on the two defaults of it's just a joke or my free speech. If you criticize me, you're infringing on my free speech. If you criticize me, you're taking a joke too seriously and now you're a triggered SJW. It's always one of those two things, isn't it? It's very predictable, these people.
This is like a 1.5-minute video. It does not stop here.
The problem with these foods is they don't dissolve in water, which could cause a traffic jam in your digestive system, making a mess of your evening. Speaking of messy, it's a good idea to avoid dairy.
I cannot handle lactose right now. Look at her.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The slippery slope is not a logical fallacy, as you may have been told. It's actually an observable pattern of behavior throughout society, history, and we've been living in it for the past 5 years. And really, the only thing that really surprises me at this point is just...
Hey guys, the slippery slope fallacy isn't actually a fallacy as literally everybody says. It's actually real. And as you can see, hey, do you know what she's referring to right now? The slippery slope thing is, the idea was that if we allowed gay people to get married, then people would want to marry their dogs and like marry children and stuff. That was a conservative talking point for decades and decades. Literally up until 2015 when gay marriage was federally legalized. That's right. Federal legalization for gay marriage only happened back in 2015. That's how recent it was. Hasn't been that long.
How slippery the slope is. I feel like things are accelerating. I mean, Postmates is national, if not international. They are a huge brand. This is not fringe. Who the hell thought this was appropriate? Who approved it? The mind boggles. And if it's possible, things get even weirder and more ideological because...
Who cares?
In a reply to that post on Twitter, which by the way was accompanied with #EatWithPride, Postmates also put out a post saying, "We're tired of heterosexual sex being the main focus of sexual education. Homosexual sex, specifically bottoming, is all too often omitted and stigmatized. Not this year. Happy Pride." Hey.
That was like an actually impressive statement from Postmates. It's easy to just throw out like a shitty, simple rainbow pride thing. But to actually like speak out about like the lack of sex education pertaining to gay sex available, like, listen, guys, if you're lucky to get access to sex ed in America in a public school, you are dreaming if you get sex ed that involve for gay sex in a public school. I don't know if you could hear what she said, but my mom said that schools would tell you that you'd get AIDS if you have gay sex and you'd become a drug addict, which is not untrue. That is a large part due to the Reagan administration. They pushed that shit very hard, especially during the AIDS epidemic. All right, let's continue.
Postmates social media manager. You may not know this, but you actually are employed by a food delivery company, not, LGBTQ plus sex education foundation. So maybe.
I want you to imagine that a company put out an ad that specifically catered to girls with red hair. Like girls with red hair who had like, I don't know, let's say hypothetically women with red hair have like particularly sensitive hair or something. I don't fucking know. Maybe there are people with particularly sensitive hair, right? You make some fucking like product to help with that. And you make advertisements directed at people with red hair. That is just advertising to a demographic. That's what they did there. No one would complain about that. The only reason she's mad about it is because it's gay people, and she has a problem with gay people. Homophobes aren't making 14-minute long videos complaining about an ad made during Pride Month by Postmates that talks about what foods to eat if you're going to get your asshole fucked later and you don't want to have da poo-poo in there. It is literally an ad on avoiding eating da poo-poo. Xander Hall gay sex was illegal in numerous states until 2003, and prosecutions still happen in defiance of the SCOTUS ruling, all the way to prison. Jesus Christ, really? You are covering Lauren Chen, so you have to show this gem from a couple years ago? What is this? At Lauren Chen, let's guess what kind of dog it was. One where the overwhelming stats say nothing about the breed, I'm sure. For those of you guys that don't know, conservatives like to use pit bulls as a dog whistle for black people because pit bulls are a disproportionately violent dog. So they like to make the claim that black people, due to crime statistics that are literally agreed upon by the entirety of like the criminological and sociological community to be heavily weighed on by racial bias, as indicative of black people being more violent than white people on a genetic level, in the same way they argue that pit bulls have been genetically bred to be more violent than other dog breeds. They argue that black people have somehow been genetically bred in the same way, and that is the argument that Lauren Chen is making. It's a very old eugenics and for not like old eugenics phrenology thing. The term is warrior gene. You might have heard that, the African warrior gene, the idea that like black people from Africa have been selectively bred to be particularly violent and deadly and aggressive. It is a racist stereotype that has literally gone back to it predates the transatlantic slave trade, no doubt. On top of that, it's gone forward to this day in the form of this dog whistle. And like you'll meet somebody talking about pit bulls being violent, and you're like, you're not a Nazi in dog whistling, are you? Like, yeah. Yeah, Lauren Chen is a Nazi. I know.
Focus more on like local food deals. Why do you feel like it's your job to educate people about the best things to eat if they are going to be doing like backdoor duty? It doesn't make sense to me.
Because they're a food delivery service, it kind of falls a little bit into their wheelhouse, doesn't it?
And moving on to less graphic but equally pandering campaigns.
Less graphic? It was literally fruit with little pieces of cloth pinned onto them to look like clothes. They dressed up some fruit and vegetables with random like pins and cloth to look sexy. These people are all virgins. These conservative figures are all the biggest fucking virgins I've ever seen. It's actually crazy.
We see that drag queens are continuing to make a splash in mainstream culture. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the brand North Face, but they kind of do like outdoor jackets and things like that. They saw fit to post this video on their Instagram account.
Nature lets you be who you are.
Face.
Even gay. Ladies and gentlemen, you are cordially invited to the Summer of Pride with my
All I'm gonna say is keep seething, Lauren. Just keep seething. The left is winning. You're losing, and keep seething. I'm gonna enjoy watching it.
friends at the North Face. We're traveling all the gay across America, and everyone's invited. That means you,
Me.
and you,
Hello.
and you.
Wow.
Not you though. You're too cute.
I don't even have more commentary at this point. And like with the Postmates video,
That was significantly less cringy than the demeanor and presentation of the average Lauren Chen video. She has absolutely no fucking ground to stand on. She would be throwing stones from a glass house.
this video is actually much longer. It's a total of a minute long, but I feel like you get the gist. Drag queen, very good. And in keeping with the drag queen theme, as Chris Rufo shared on Twitter, Disney Plus for some reason thought that drag queens were a good way to market pride to children. And I just want to come out and say that you shouldn't need to market gay pride toward children, right? Because that's why would.
All right. There is an argument to be made that marketing anything towards children is immoral. That companies like being able to advertise on children's programming and advertise to children is immoral. There have been laws made to protect children against advertising in on a federal level and on a state level here in America and in other countries as well. But I have a feeling that Lauren Chen is not in favor of hardcore crackdowns on corporations advertising on children's content. I believe what she has an issue with is the concept of some kids learning that gay people exist before their parents or Ben Shapiro and the YouTube algorithm can tell them that gay people are all groomers and degenerates and that they aren't to be trusted. It's also very vital for them to brainwash kids into hating gay people before they get to like middle school or high school. That's usually when people start, realizing their sexual identity and coming out. And once you've started to become friends with a few gay or trans people, it's hard to hate them and think they're abominations or think they don't exist or are fake. And so they need to make sure they brainwash them before they're in high school or middle school. So by the time they get to middle school or high school, they're like that one kid who comes to school every day wearing a suit and a Make America Great Again hat and debates the teacher on whether or not the South was about, or the Civil War was about slavery or not. I've heard that's a stereotype. I haven't been to high school in a while, but that's the kind of kid, Generation Z they're trying to produce. They want to get that's the kind of kid they're trying to send the school system, if anything. If they're going to go into the public school system, that's how they want them to be.
You feel the need. But yeah, they actually took the time to make this video, and keep in mind, this is geared toward children.
Hello, and welcome to the Disney Plus This Is Me Pride Celebration Spectacular. I'm Nina West, and I'm here to guide you through a magical, musical, and meaningful celebration.
I'm going to be honest, I find Disney, adult Disney stuff to be really cringy. So this is just cringy already. If this was a cis woman doing this, dressed like fucking Snow White or whatever, I'd be cringing my ass off. I'm sorry. It's just not my cup of tea, but there's nothing wrong with this. It's literally just a Disney princess. That's it. They're just a Disney princess. This is, unless you think there is something wrong with being trans or being a drag queen, unless you think you could make an actual facts-based argument on how it's wrong or immoral or dangerous. Oh, you can't? You can only just kind of vaguely point at how your audience will think that something like this is kind of weird and gross on surface level without thinking about it very much, and you don't have to make any arguments in your videos? Who would have thought?
Of the LGBTQ plus community. GLSEN's mission is to create safe and inclusive schools for LGBTQ plus students in grades K through 12. And Disney Plus is so proud to support this wonderful organization.
As someone who grew up loving Disney and to some extent used to consider them a Disney adult, I know, up until really 2 years ago, I was going
Of course Lauren Chen is a Disney adult.
to Disneyland or World every year. Anytime work brought me to Florida or California, I would make an effort to go to Disney because that is me. I am an inner child. But it's gotten to this point where it's guys,
do you guys know do you know when the last time I went to Disney was, chat? When I was 5. Disney adult is closet gay. True.
we can't keep supporting it. Cancel your Disney Plus subscriptions if you haven't already, because they're trying to make your kids watch drag queens. And honestly, I want to make it my mission now to make sure every single conservative parent knows exactly what the Disney Corporation is doing with their money. And not only that, but I feel like we need to spread this LGBT propaganda from Disney to international markets, because you got to notice they are only targeting this stuff to Westerners because they know that this is what at least.
Wait, oh my God, this is their excuse. This is their it's not capitalism's fault excuse. They think they're only marketing it towards Westerners because Westerners are the only ones who've been brainwashed enough to accept it. Not that they aren't legally allowed to have these ads and whatnot in certain other countries, and it's not profitable to do so. And in some cases, being gay is literally illegal there. That'd be a little bit inconvenient to acknowledge, because acknowledging that gay people are still very oppressed in this world is just something that, doesn't really play well into her narrative. Also, the West.
Some Westerners want to see. I can bet, however, that they are not promoting these types of videos to their customers.
By Westerners, she means white people. Like, the West means, like, countries that she considers to be white. And yes, I know she is not white. That doesn't matter. There are a lot of non-white white supremacists and white nationalists and alt-righters these days. It's they're a quite diverse bunch, surprisingly.
In the Middle East or in Asia. So I don't know about you guys, but I say we make it our duty to ensure that the Asian market, the Middle Eastern market, they know exactly what Disney is like. Their
I apologize. White.
True face that they probably don't get to see. I mean, let's make Disney actually stand by their values. Okay, Disney, you're all about gay pride, LGBT stuff. That's fine. But don't just be pro-gay pride in San Francisco. I want to see that stuff in Saudi Arabia too.
They can't be, and also it's just for money. Do they think they're making does she think she's making a scalding take right now? You care so much about gay people, but this is an original one, guys. You've never heard this one before. You care about gay people, but your logos on Twitter for the Russian and Saudi Arabian sections of your company aren't rainbow colored this month, are they? Curious. I'm very original. No one on the left or anybody LGBT has ever made this criticism before. Believe it or not, the left makes that criticism a lot. It is not an original one. However, it is also always, as I did at the beginning of this video, tied in with the reminder that these things are a symptom of the solution, not the solution themselves. When companies feel as though they need to jump on board with accepting LGBT people in order to make money, it tells us that being homophobic, being transphobic, whatever, is becoming less and less socially acceptable, and more importantly, less and less economically viable. Because I am fully in favor of economically starving out people who use their platform to spread harmful ideologies like this. Absolutely.
Let's see that in China. And finally, the last gay pride cringe advertising that I want to talk about comes from places you would not have expected. Because LGBT activists, progressives, the left in general, they love to pretend that they are hashtag the resistance, but actually, if you've been paying attention, you will know that they have implanted themselves in positions of power pretty much everywhere. And if you ask me, you don't
Who's planted themselves in positions of power everywhere, Lauren? What you getting at there, Lauren? Who?
get to claim you are the resistance and that you are marginalized when the CIA is literally creating ads to pander to you, which is kind of ironic.
You don't get to claim that you're marginalized. Despite the fact that the GOP is unilaterally pushing to take your civil rights away all across the country, you don't get to say that you are discriminated against because the CIA put out an image with a pride flag on it. Honestly, the CIA probably invented AIDS, okay? Like, fuck the CIA.
Because if you think of like human rights in general, which LGBT activists try to paint pride as, you probably don't think of the CIA.
Listen, guys, it is absolutely a conspiracy theory that the CIA created and distributed AIDS to the gay population. Well, actually, it's distributed to everybody and then allowed the U.S. government to push the idea it was a gay thing to help like discriminate against gay people. It would not necessarily be out of the CIA's, it wouldn't be out of their grasp, you know? They've done similar stuff before. When they want to keep a minority group down, they'll do stuff. It'd be in character for the CIA for them to do some shit like that. They didn't even have to make it. They could have just, like, distributed it. All right, we're actually getting into scary territory because now the more that I think about it, the more viable this theory sounds. I need to, like, research where HIV and AIDS comes from first, though, before I sound like a fucking idiot or crazy.
Hey, but I guess now they're trying to rebrand like, hey, come join the CIA where you can waterboard people and spy on our allies, but you can at least be.
No way in fucking hell is Lauren Chen against torture and spy. No way in hell is she against waterboarding. Conservatives have fought to keep waterboarding as a method of torture used by the U.S. government for decades. It was like this huge thing. Do you remember how big of a thing? Remember when I think it was Rush Limbaugh voluntarily got waterboarded to prove how it wasn't that bad, and afterwards he was like, he was like fucking dying. I think it was Rush Limbaugh, right? I think it was. Yeah, back in the day, it was all about, like, all the conservative figures were trying to prove waterboarding's not that bad. No, torture's okay. They deserve it. And trying to justify the existence of Guantanamo and all the people being held there without, like, proper probable cause or even having, like, a court date or even having, like, been, like, found guilty of anything. What's waterboarding? You don't know what waterboarding is? Well, believe it or not, one of the most unpleasant things a human being can possibly experience, one of the most torturous forms of discomfort you can do to a person without killing them. Well, you might be able to kill someone by waterboarding them, I guess. You could probably kill someone by waterboarding them. Yeah, you definitely could. But a way to you can easily not kill someone by waterboarding. The way you do it is you lay them down on like a board and you strap them down so they can't move. Then you flip them at a angle so that their head is kind of facing down a bit. Then you wet a cloth and you put it over their face and wrap it around their head, and you pour buckets and buckets of water, even from a hose, over the cloth, and it basically is the closest thing you can to simulating drowning. It's worse than drowning, because when you're drowning, at least you can hold your breath for a minute. You can't even hold your breath while you're waterboarding because they tilt you upside down and you can't hold your nose shut or plug it, so the water gets into your nose and you start going and then when you inhale to get like a bit out, you inhale more, and then it's just there's no way you can't hold your breath when you get waterboarded. You can't sit like hang in there. It's just the instant the water starts pouring, it's torture, and it's pretty torturous even after it stops. It doesn't just like stop once they take the rag off. Yeah, the rag makes you breathe water. It's pretty fucked. Yeah, and there's no way Lauren Chen would have been against this back when this was like a more politically charged topic. She's just saying this for like some fucking points against LGBT people.
Be gay while doing it now. And in another bad taste effort of inclusivity, we also saw the Marine Corps putting out a pride tweet that featured rainbow bullets.
Every gay person on Twitter made fun of this. I feel no need to comment.
Bullets are the best way to present the fact that you are about like love and tolerance. Just kind of seems like mixed messaging to me. And with both of these ads, the CIA and the Marines, you got to keep in mind other countries see this. Other countries are aware that this is what America's intelligence agencies and military are like.
She's about to make the argument that this makes America look pathetic and weak, isn't she? She's unironically about to make the argument that the American military and intelligence agencies pandering to LGBT people makes America look weak. The most powerful military on the planet, the most spent on military spending, literally magnitudes more powerful than second place on the planet. And the problem is that the LGBT military ads are making the American Defense Forces look too weak. Kind of run out of those rainbow bullets.
And make no mistake, China is laughing at you. And to really just drive home how
China's laughing at us. Hold on, can I World Military Power Ranking. Can we just the power index score of the United States right now is 0.453. And it's number 1. But the power index the power index being lower is good, it seems. Is it? Yeah, it's good. The lower the power index, the better. So 0.0453 as opposed to that. I'm looking more for... I don't want their power index score. I want their... All right. No, number 2 is Russia. It's not China, it's Russia. Russia's current military budget is $84.5 billion. Active frontline personnel 766,000. Tanks 15,398. Total aircraft 3,429. Submarines 55. America spends a whopping $601 billion to Russia's piddly $84 billion. America has 1.4 million active frontline personnel, as opposed to the 766,000 in Russia. America has 8,848 tanks. Russia's got more tanks, but we've got 13,892 aircraft as opposed to their 3,000, so I doubt their tanks are going to mean much when we've got that aircraft. And we have 72 submarines, they're 55. They are second place. And we spend $601 billion on military. They spend $84 billion. They probably spend their money more efficiently. Like, America is very inefficient when it comes to the way that we, spend our money. But regardless, it doesn't change the fact that America has, without a doubt, and without even a stretch of the imagination, the most powerful military in the world. And anyone who tries to convince you with this weird LARPy, like, internet tier world politics idea that, like, LGBT pride ads make like the world leaders looking at them on Twitter think, America looks weak right now, time to invade, then you are literally too young and too childish to be engaged with politics at all. Please finish middle school or elementary school, and you might be ready in high school, but honestly, you might want to wait till college.
Deeply, the gay agenda has inserted itself really everywhere. We even recently had Fox News running a segment on a trans child in honor of Pride Month.
Seethe, you're losing. You're losing so hard, and I want you to keep seething.
And I should say trans child, because as we all know, there's no such thing.
14-year-old Ryland Whittington is a typical Southern California teenager. The only difference, though,
just a reminder, what she said there completely disagrees with the entirety of the consensus of the scientific community on this topic.
Ryland's eyes is what this family can mean to the tens of thousands of kids under 18 who identify as transgender.
We put our story out.
I mentioned before, by the way, the left has the arduous task of debunking every short, quippy lie the right tells. People like her can just say there's no such thing as trans kids, and then it's our responsibility to go, well, actually, these studies and these studies and this in these institutions and this overwhelming in this meta-analysis, and we have to go on a long fucking spree to explain why that's not fucking true. But all she had to say was there's no such thing as a trans kid. 8 simple words. And 8 simple words, and it does 42,924 people's worth of damage.
Out there, so people could see that like there's another family out there that is going through what we're going through, or there's another family who's proud of who they are.
Before Ryland could even speak, he managed to tell his parents that he is a boy.
I could just see it. It wasn't him trying to be a brat. It was like painful. It was truly painful for him to have to wear feminine clothing and for us constantly telling him that you're a girl.
We covered this previously.
So when Fox News, which is supposed to be the conservative outlet, is seemingly playing along with the idea that a 5-year-old can know that they are trans, this is when you've known that conservative social values have lost, at least for the time being. It's sad.
Yes. They are losing. When the right is at its most powerful, it's when they're about to lose the hardest. And they know it. Remember that, chat. When the right looks like they're winning the most, it's when they're about to lose the hardest they've ever lost before. And they know it.
That, and I wish it weren't the case, but yeah, frankly, gay is mainstream, and not just like regular milquetoast gay, but actual like leather wearing top and bottom. Like that's what's everywhere nowadays. And if that doesn't frighten you, it should, because this is overtly sexual. This has all happened so fast, and we are at a point where it's no longer just that you need to accept or tolerate this type of thing. You need to actively celebrate it, or you are considered a bigot. That's pretty much.
No one's asking anyone to actively celebrate it. There is a difference between they're not celebrating something and actively speaking out against something are not the same thing. I think you're conflating those two things. Also, I like how this is the thumbnail of her video, and yet she's so concerned about sexualization of society. God damn, these people are such fucking virgins. It's really pathetic, too. They'll try to, like, front this weird, like, hyper-masculine macho. No. Lauren Chen made a video not that long ago about how conservatives have more sex and are more attractive than left-wing people with some, like, conservative study. And meanwhile, she's making videos about how degenerate sex is and how sexual, like, they'll literally do the prude, like, having a lot of sex is bad thing, but then when it's, you know, rhetorically advantageous to them, they'll adopt a completely different belief system in which now all of a sudden it is some moral win to be super attractive and have lots of sex, I guess. Very bizarre how quickly they'll completely switch their positions there, but of course conservatives have never been known for their intellectual honesty. With all that said, though, if you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like. It helps the channel out more than you even realize. It's not just an empty, hollow gesture of support. It actually makes YouTube support my channel, push it in the algorithm, make new people see it. It tells people that aren't watching my content that I'm live and to come see it if they are subscribed to me. And it just generally helps me out more than you realize. You can also follow my social medias. They're linked down below in the description. And you can also subscribe during the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I upload a new video or go live. And finally, you can also you can also support me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, $5 a month. And of course, you can support me on YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, and of course, Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.